Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of the Catalyst Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Sunkist, and with me again tonight is my co-host, Aria F. Wright. What's up, Aria?
That's my new thing for today.
Oh, you snapping fingers?
Snap fingers, snap fingers, snap fingers. Come on. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome all across the board. Welcome.
All right. Welcome, everyone. And Aria is killing me. Welcome, everyone, to, again, episode 7. Tonight, we are talking about the Black vote and the future of Black America. So the black and brown community has questioned the process of voting. And the question is always asked, who do you vote for? Does my vote even matter? When I vote, nothing changes. There are so many questions, doubts, and lack of urgency. We all discuss how voting is a step towards change in America and in our community, how voting impacts our rights, the way we live, and building a future of change and progress. So, Aria, what do you think the energy and the vibe going forward into this 2020 election feels like with Black Lives Matters, police brutality, topics that we've discussed on, right? Like entrepreneurs, owners, small businesses, and with this podcast, the Black community?
Right now, there's a sense of urgency like there's never been before. I believe, and I feel this from friends and people within my network, at least, that people are really trying to make sure that we vote and we get people out and we make sure that they understand why we need to vote, and how we need to vote is a big concern because of all of the craziness with the ballot, and the mailboxes are now becoming a trending topic, and
Right.
there's so many different things that we need to consider and that we need to make sure that we are aware of. People are starting to educate themselves about voting, and they're starting to educate, people who are coming in and voting for the first time, and really sharing those experiences, historical experiences about the fact that this was our given right. We earned this right to vote. We have to make sure that we show up in the polls, regardless of what people say about, all these different conspiracy
Theories, yeah.
All these urban myths about voting. Yes, there's the whole situation with the Electoral College that people don't quite understand, but at the same time, we definitely have to come out in numbers. We have to come out and show our unity, and we have to come out and make sure that other people see that we are taking this seriously. I definitely see that amongst my peers, and I hope that people who are not as educated will make it their business to become educated about the topics and the candidates, and who in their local administration is making moves for their better good, so that it can layer up into regional and national. So there's definitely a sense of urgency, though.
Yeah, it's definitely a sense of urgency. At early in the year, like even before the pandemic, I was really on the fence about not necessarily not voting, but who am I really voting for?
Yeah.
And as we all know, there was a very large panel of Democrats running for position of president and for 2020 within this election. And as I looked at it, I said, okay, well, am I really going to vote for someone? Fast forward, now we know Biden is representing Democrats running for president. And if you start comparing history, right, as you said, you have to do your research. You start getting these facts about these candidates. Then you start to say, well, what are they doing for my community? Because, okay, fine, we're back again to this point of picking between the lesser of the evils,
Yes.
right? But now I think, indifferent to Hillary, we are in a much stronger position and much more aware of what we need and how we should definitely press these candidates to make sure that they do for our community. Because as we all know, from systemic racism to socioeconomic, depression within that, and the laundry list goes on and on. So, tonight's episode is really, really going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like people would rather vote for Snoopy than to vote for Donald Trump at this point.
Right.
It's like, like I feel like people he's exposing himself, and I don't understand how anybody in their right mind, and I'm going to say this, I don't believe that anybody in their right mind would see anything that he's doing that would be to benefit them, as people of color, as a person with
no, but hold on. Wait, let me stop you there, though, because I do have friends of mine.
Oh, God.
Not a lot of friends. I got a lot of friends, but I have a few friends of mine that actually voted for Trump. And this is why they voted for Trump. In the beginning, 2016, they voted for Trump because they felt that he brought this air of breaking the rules, right? Thinking that him not having a political background would actually make change. Fast forward into present time, as we see there are so many, and in my opinion, which there are facts that he's lied over 1,000 times over about, what he's done for the black community. Fine. Some HBCUs got some money. That's great. But there is a much larger span of obligations that need to be met for our community than just allocating funds for a historically black college.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is that we deserve better. There are so many things that we've been denied of in the past, and the current administration is completely taking all of those things, and they're just like, yeah, that's how it should be. Stay there. We don't want you to go anywhere else. We don't need you.
And they're being blatant with it.
Completely disrespectful. It's just disrespect. Where I'm from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You talk about like that, you get punched in the mouth. Just kidding.
Nah, see, some people gotta get shaken down. You gotta get shaken somebody down every now and then.
Mouth for saying stuff like that, for being disrespect. You gonna put some respect on my name.
Oh my God! Speaking of respectful individuals, we have a wonderful, wonderful panel tonight.
Yes.
Aria, can you give us a little background on our guests?
So all three of our guests are actually activists, and they're all experts in their field. They've all kind of started from very humble beginnings, and they've all been community based, community focused. They've always been advocates for the community, and they all recognize that the people are the important people, the important thing in this whole equation. So the people are what got them into office, or the people are who are listening to them, or who are following them. And the people are going to make sure that they stay in office and stay relevant and stay, being a force within the communities. So our first guest, we were talking to her before the show, and she just came on. She came on blazing.
Yeah. This is gonna get spicy. This is definitely gonna get spicy.
But yes, she's an amazing and dynamic woman. Her name is TASHA DIAZ, and she's a well-known community advocate who was born and raised in the city of Yonkers, the YO.
Esco, what up?
She's made it her mission to help the poor, the homeless, and the hungry in her neighborhoods and in surrounding communities for years. She's completely immersed herself in the needs of her community, and she takes no mess. And in 2019, her community service led her to emerge as the underdog to win the 2019 Democratic primary for Yonkers City Council District 3, defeating the party nominee. She corrected me before we jumped on by 56% of the votes. And then she, of course, she beat out the former city councilman, Dennis Robertson. But, all in all, she's a change agent who will not stop being an advocate for those within her community who are in need. She is the amazing, the incomparable TASHA DIAZ.
Hello.
Hi, Tasha.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us.
Of course, I'm ready for this interesting dialogue today.
Tell
That's
it.
what I wanted.
Just tell it. Just tell it. Yes.
And it's on a Sunday, so if I start preaching, don't mind me.
Well, you know what? I mean, I didn't get enough church today. I was working all day, so I'm here for the word. Okay, I'm here for the word. All right. So our next guest is he's so many things. He's so amazing. He's an activist, an author, a radio show host. He's a publisher, and he's the co-owner of the Urban Soul Media Group, which is also the parent company of BlackWestchester.com. He is a 27-year veteran of the Westchester County Department of Corrections and the New York representative of Blacks in Law Enforcement of America. Super amazing. His magazine, Black Westchester Magazine, recently launched a platform called the Black Love Movement, whose belief that if Black lives are going to matter, they must matter to Black people first. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, amen. You can hear him every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. on WFAS, 12:30 a.m., the morning show with Bob Maroney, and he is Damon K. Jones.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I must have sent you an old.
Well, we're gonna work with that, but you are.
And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and then our next guest, last but definitely not least, he is the long life resident of the city of Atlantic City. He always says that. The city of Atlantic City, New Jersey. He is an avid sports fan and Philadelphia Eagles season ticket holder.
I didn't know that part. Man.
You didn't see his chair? He has an Eagles emblem in his chair.
I thought it was something else. I try to ignore it.
No. But he's a husband, he's a father, and in 2019, he became the 41st mayor of the city of Atlantic City.
Yes, sir.
He began his public career as a community activist in 1998, and at age 29, he was sworn in as the youngest councilman in the history of the city of Atlantic City. He went on to hold several other public positions throughout his career. In 2019, he was elected by unanimous vote to the Atlantic City City Council, where he will serve the term as mayor, ending December 31st, 2020. He is Marty Small.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be a part of this esteemed panel, and it's a great day here in the city of Atlantic City.
See, there you go.
Sir.
I love
it. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being on the Catalyst Lifestyle Podcast and speaking on the Black vote and the future of Black America. So we were talking backstage and talking about the importance of our vote, and some of the most vital areas on why we should vote. And I'll start with the mayor first. What are some of the biggest misconceptions of voting?
The biggest misconception of voting is my vote don't count. I don't need to vote. It's not going to change anything. Why vote? They're not doing nothing for me. And when they say me, meaning personally, as a voter, you have to take a look at what our forefathers that came before us did, the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears, the racial issues. And, if people never thought that they would see a Black president, and that came, and you saw the raw emotion of people in their 90s and some in their 100 years, 100 years old or more, when Barack Obama became the first president. I mean, I watch interviews where people say, well, okay, I can die now. My wish came true.
Right.
And it's important that you vote on every election. What I don't like, and I speak out against this publicly, as Tip O'Neill said, all politics are local. And that means the government goes from the grassroots, from the bottom up. So, you'll have a poor turnout when you have your school board election, your city council election, sometimes your mayor election or other offices. But us in the Black community seem to like what's trending on social media. if you look at people's voting history, they only vote once every 4 years, the majority of the people, and that's the president. And like I tell people, you can see me at a football game, you can see me at a school event, you can see me in the supermarket. The chances of you having an intimate moment with the president or any other office holder is slim to none. But
Right.
people have to take that more seriously, and we tend to get caught up in trends. So, for an example, like I said, my numbers, I just won the Democratic primary, and I will be on the November ballot, here in the city of Atlantic City. But when,
Excellent.
we voted by mail for the first time, and I won the election by 65% of the vote. I had the highest amount of votes than any mayor in recent memory. But like I said, I told people, a lot of people still didn't take it seriously, but trust and believe. And I want you guys to remember this. On November 3rd, look at your social media timeline. And all you're going to see is people in the booth taking selfies. I voted. You want to know why? Because the celebrities are doing it and everybody on social media is going to be doing it. So it's trending. And another thing that I think is important is, to know the values. Some people are going to get caught up in the Kanye West hype, and that can hurt a person like Joe Biden. And,
Right.
Before, we move on, I just want to say this, as a black community and as Democrats, or, if you're anti-Trump, I wouldn't sleep on Donald Trump, because that's what happened last time. And all the polls showed us that Hillary Clinton was up by anywhere 5 to 8 percentage points. So the last presidential election was an indictment on polling, because a lot of the Trump supporters didn't want to answer the phone or identify themselves of who they're voting for. Remember, you have to talk to people to gauge your polling. And then late in the wee hours of the morning, we were all disappointed and looking at the nightmare, which is a Trump presidency. So it's extremely important to keep voting. And, as they say, like, vote like your life depends on it, because it truly
Right.
does.
It does. It does.
Definitely does.
Mhm.
And you hit the nail on the head as far as, if I just paraphrase it in a sense of like this is really a war that's taking place. We have to step out there on the front lines, with mail-in ballots, as Aria mentioned, the U.S. Postal, the process is being disturbed right before our eyes, and it feels like we can't do anything about it. But as we all know, when there's a will, there's a way. So when you know that you have your parents or your grandparents or even your neighbor who's unable to get out due to quarantine, due to COVID, or they just may not be able to get out physically, take it upon yourself to even take their mail-in ballot and drop it off at a local, ballot location.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to do. Rally around people. A lot of people. I've been in politics my whole life. My first time voting by mail was the last election. And, you just got to, keep pushing, because they want you to be discouraged. But actually, it's easier. Remember, it's November. The weather's funny. So it'd be easier to take the time to, fill out the ballot and send it back in. And what they did for, seniors who are not able, they're opening some polling locations where you could come and vote. And then if you don't vote that ballot, and trust me from experience, if you don't vote the ballot the first few days that it come in the mail, there's so many doors that we knocked on during the last campaign, and the ballot was under the couch. Oh, I lost it. And if you don't make contact with the people, they're not going to vote, which is sad. Right. But trust and believe, for this presidential election, there's little motivation. And in the state of New Jersey now, if you're on probation and parole, you can vote now. And then the 800-pound gorilla in the room on the New Jersey ballot, not only the presidential election and the general election for the mayor, but it's to legalize recreational marijuana. So some people who don't care nothing about politics, but want
to care about
freely, it's going to be a record turnout.
Exactly. Right, because there's that need, like that that is skewed towards my wants. So that's why I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
But it goes beyond that. But it goes beyond that.
My doorstep. So
Right.
Right.
So, so we're talking about the importance of it. So, what would you tell people? And I'll give this question to Councilmember TASHA DIAZ. How important is the black vote, right? Because they say that as we're talking about, we are always assumed that we are not going to vote for whatever reason. But why, or better yet, how important is the black vote?
Well, the black vote is very important. The issue that we have sometimes in our community is that they listen to when they get discouraged. Mm-hmm. So once someone implants the discouragement into them, they feel as if, well, they already said that I'm not going to do it. I'm not able to do it. Like when some people get arrested, they feel as if I can't vote. But that's not true. Not all the time are you excluded from voting just because you have been arrested. A lot of people on this side in the black communities didn't even know about an absentee ballot. That to me was very disturbing because that right there lets me know there's some kind of suppression. Mm-hmm. I made it my business to go and knock on doors personally to tell them what the importance was to vote and vote by absentee ballot, because I just had a feeling with them only having 9 polling sites open in the entire city of Yonkers that there was going to be some kind of dilemma.
Right.
And I believe that was caused purposely to discourage people from waiting on the lines to vote. Now, as I was knocking on doors to get seniors to vote, I actually got a call. And I was asked, was I trading food for votes? That
really?
Right there, yes, that right there disgusted me because I've been delivering food throughout the community my entire life from when I was in church. So that right there, like, really hurt me because I said, as much as I did for this community and still do for this community, how dare you call me and ask me, am I trading food for votes? Why? Because I am educating my community and I'm letting them know the importance of coming out and voting. And because I felt as if this is something that was needed, there is a need in the community for food. Why did that have to equal to me getting votes for food? Why couldn't it just say she's out here fighting for her community and embracing them and letting them know that this is what you need to do to implement change? Mm-hmm. When I ran for office, they laughed at me when I was giving out food. They laughed at me before I ran for office and during running for office. They laughed at me. Now, all of those people that laughed at me, they're out there and they're delivering food. But I knew there was a need for that way before COVID because I was a person in the community and I'm always in the community. And I always had an open dialogue with anyone, whether you were a homeless person, whether you were a teenager, whether you were a senior. I never looked at anybody different. I always looked as if this person has something to say and they want to get their word across. And if a lot of the elected officials just go out and listen, stop doing a lot of the talking, listen to the community because they've been crying out. This has not just started. They've been crying out. It's just that their cries have not been heard. They've fallen on deaf ears because they have elected people, as the mayor from Atlantic City said, through trending. Yeah. This is my boy. This is my girl. Vote for that person. But what has that person done for you? Is that person willing to come down to your community and sit with you? If they're not able to do that, that is not the person for you. Because the minute they get your vote, you will never see that person again.
That's right.
And I won last year. And everybody said to me, why are you still out here delivering? Why? Because that's what got me elected. Because there was a need for it. Whether I was elected or not elected.
Right. So it's that connection.
Yes.
Right, so it's that connection with the community, right? All hands on deck.
Yes.
Right.
And the cameras don't need to be on for you. And that's a lot of the politicians like, okay, I'm about to go and do this, guys. Okay, I'm on my way here. And then they're like, Okay, but wait, I can't do it yet because where's the camera crew?
Right.
So, just a mess.
My food distribution, I'm out there distributing food every Friday for the whole entire summer. And I'm not saying, look at what I have, look at this. I'm out there actually on the front lines. I'm taking the boxes off of the trucks. I'm packing the food. I'm actually serving the people. I'm being one with them. And that's why the community loves me. And if they'd have listened to me in the beginning, when I told them that this is what the community wanted, they would have never been against me. But they made me work extra hard. But you know what? I'm not a stranger to hard work. So that wasn't nothing to me. I just showed them better than I can tell them.
And that's why you're in the position you are in now. And I'm sure that the people that doubted you are now totally in support of your actions, right? So lead by action, right? I mean, a lot of false politicians speak the word, but the words fall on deaf ears because there's no action to back it up. And you know, your actions are definitely one to be highlighted and to be followed. And I hope everyone's taking note of that. And if it's not handing out food, it could be, again, assisting the elderly in this voting process, or it could be educating, the younger generation who feels like, oh, their vote doesn't count, or it's not important to them, or, everything's going to be the same. And that's not a fact. Like, if we all collectively get in as a unit and work with one another, even if you have opinions that may differ, what's the common goal? And that's the most important thing.
And only 7 months in, I've already implemented a lot of change throughout Yonkers, change that they should have gotten years ago. But obviously, those proper people were not in play, because I'm working with the administration to deliver to my community. We're working on quality of life issues. We're working on housing issues. We're working on issues with the school. I'm the head of education. I'm the chairperson for education. I wanted that committee. People told me I was crazy for taking it because it's the hardest committee, but I wanted it because I wanted to put in the work. Don't give me a job where it's easy, where I'm going to sit back. I want to put in the work. I implemented $1 million. So these children will have the electronics they need for school, because we don't know what's going to go on with COVID.
So
they told me I was crazy.
And preparation is key. So
exactly.
Yeah. So Damon,
and before the governor even one more thing, before the governor even implemented a task force for COVID, I already passed that resolution before we went into session. Before he wanted town halls, I already had my town hall set up. So I was already delivering for the community, because I know the people in the Black community, they need a voice. Sometimes they call and these people don't want to listen to them and they give up. So I've opened up my office to say, I will be your voice. And it doesn't matter the district. Yes, I represent District 3, but I've been in Yonkers my whole entire life. And sometimes some of my colleagues may get mad because I assist other people that's in their district. But I tell them, don't look at it like that. I'm actually giving you a helping hand. We're all in this together.
Right. As a collective. Definitely as a collective. So Damon, in reference to speech.
Oh, did he freeze?
Yep, the whole house freeze. Here we go. He's come back.
Okay. Oh, I was out. I'll repeat the question. In reference, and Damon, this is for you. In reference to the census, how important is the census overall within the Black community, and how important is it relatable to voting?
Man, listen, I don't understand how we have to, so the mayor, the councilwoman, they were talking about how it's very important to reach out to the community. And the census is the same way, right? So, we're in the age of Black Lives Matter, right? So you can't say Black Lives Matter if you don't vote. That's number one. And you can't say Black Lives Matter if you're Black and you don't fill out your census. I think the local people in the Black community, they don't know how important the census is, because that's how being counted also. Just like you're being counted for your vote, you're being counted for the population of your district. So So your federal representatives are able to go down and bring home the money, because that's what you want your congressmen and your senators to do, is to bring home the bacon for the community.
Right.
So you have to be counted, so they're able to say, look, I have this amount of people in my district, and this is what they need. And it also affects the districts. So you might lose a district.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have, because it's already a rumor now here in New York, we're for the first time in history in Congress, District 16 and District 17, we have 2 Black men for the first time in history.
Right.
What they're talking about consolidating the district, and if people are not filling out the census to show that there is a need because of the population for not 1 district but 2 districts, we're going to lose a representative.
Wait, so if for just kind of give everyone some context to consolidating the districts, what does that mean specifically?
So what they do is they will redistrict the area. So if you have 2 districts together, they will make it 1 district and take part of that and give it to another district. So instead of having two representatives in Congress, you will only have 1. It's like combining the district.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's detrimental, right? I mean, because these are primary Black districts with people of color, and they came. We come out for the vote, and we put 2 Black men in, but now because we don't understand the importance of the census,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to lose a district. So basically, we're working against ourselves because we don't understand the political process.
Well, what do you think? How do we get people to really understand that, what you just said? What's the best way to get people to understand that and the importance of it? Because I feel like that's one of the things that has just gone unnoticed, undetected. People don't talk about it a lot, and then when people talk about it, there was one commercial that I heard that's like, I think it was like somebody was saying, oh, I got to fill out the census. And they're like, are you serious? Like, are you playing around? And, it's like that, kind of making light of that. And it's just like, I don't understand why people don't take this seriously. How do we get them to?
We have to take it among ourselves. Those that know, I mean, that was one of the reasons we started blackwestchester.com, because of the fact that there was a lot of ignorance in the political process and how politics affect our everyday lives. So we wanted to inform the people and create that conversation. The conversation has to be created. We found that sometimes, the political parties that we are loyal to, they don't let out the secrets, right? They don't let out they don't tell us what's actually going on. They don't let out the secrets, how to even run for office, how to get a signature sheets, and what's the importance of having signatures and all this little integral stuff that goes on in politics. You have to learn on your own. So we decided to try to inform the community on the political process, because if we don't understand that, then our communities will continue to suffer.
So Damon, with that said, when we're speaking about impacting everyone, where will our votes be more impactful in the grand scheme of things? Will it be locally, regionally, or voting on a primary level, and also in why?
Both local, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely local. I mean, because that's directing that's affecting you. That's affecting you directly. I know the laws that come out of DC, but what your taxes, right? If your taxes are paid to the city and to the school district, and the majority of municipalities, more of the tax dollars go to the school district, than to the actual operations of the city. So when we're talking about funding the police department, when we're talking about police reform, when we're talking about our educational system, those are your local elected officials. Those are the people that put the legislation together. So
Right.
so those are the people that you have to put in, and you have to know who they are. You
Yeah.
know, look, I know we all voting Democrat, but sometimes you just don't go down the line. Sometimes you're not supposed to go A all the way, right? Because why are you voting for some people? The mayor's laughing. Why are you voting for people that you don't know?
Right.
Right.
I mean, just
Well,
because.
that's part of everyone educating themselves, right? And let's say let's say they're not educating themselves, right? It's also people like yourself and everyone on this panel spreading the word, right? As far as information is concerned, and leading people in the right direction to choose for themselves who's the best fit for them, but being, rightfully educated, not given false hope or false promises from, for example, and this is, what, Mayor Small said earlier in reference to social media, right? People are going to tend to want to follow someone strictly off of social media. If it's a campaign that's like smearing the name of their opponent, or if it's a campaign where it's giving false promises of some sort.
Well, it's just not. It's just not social media. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's the political party.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if you have 4 people running for a position,
Right.
they're all Democrats, right? They're all Democrats, all Democrats. But the party say we want that one. Well, who are you to tell us if they're all Democrats? Who are you to tell us to vote for? Right? So it's almost like the system. It's almost like the system is rigged. Because if you don't have enough money, right, to be known, to take ads out on social media, to have a street team to go from door to door and to do this promotion, you're not going to get known. Thank God for social media. You could pay $20 and you could be on everybody's stream, right? If it wasn't for that, right? If it wasn't for that, right? Sometimes it's an uphill battle for young people to get into this political system. So it takes education, and like we vote for judges. I think, and I tell everybody, the most important positions you can vote for is your judges and your district attorneys. Right. The judges, you don't even know what they stand for. They can't talk about their morals and ethics and all. They can't talk about that. They can just talk about, well, I was a lawyer, I was this, I was that, I was this, and they're racist, right? They get in, and so we have to have some type of way to vet our representatives in the Black community, right? We have to begin to do that, right? And we also must have a way that we're able to raise money and finance our Black politicians so they don't fall victim to the whole political system, big corporations, big banks, big law firms, yada 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 yada. I could go on and on and on. So we have to mature as a people. In order for the Black vote to actually work, we have to back it with Black power.
Well, Damien, you mentioned the word vetting, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I think it's appropriate right now. And I want to go around the room with this one. What methods are recommended for vetting and supporting candidates at various levels of government?
Well, you want to start with me, or are you starting with?
Yeah, you can. Start.
Well, I mean,
you can go ahead.
If they've been in office, it's their record, right? You have to look at their record. You have to look if they flip flop it, right? You have to look at if they are a politician of context or a consistent politician, right? There's a difference, right? So if you're a context, whatever the flavor of the day is, you support the flavor of the day, right? But if you're a consistent politician, right, your actions and how you vote and how you pass laws and how you work with the community is consistent. So you can look back when that person first got into office, right? They stand on the same morals and values and ethics 20 years later. So and that's how you have to have a political agenda yourself. Like, what is the Black community's interest? Right? We just,
Right.
I mean, look, Kamala Harris, everybody's going to vote for her because we got to get Trump out. Right? But what are we going to get? Right? We're going to make history. First Black woman vice president. But after the Negro history moment is over, what is the Black community getting?
Right.
What are we getting?
Right.
When the cameras are not running anymore.
Exactly. What are we getting for it? Right?
Wait, Damon, let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
Everybody heard that, right? So let's put a pin in that real quick. Tasha, same question.
I believe that, it should be someone that's already been given back to the community. You have to show me something first. You need to have a track record. Don't come in for my vote and say, this is what I'm going to do or I want to do. Right. You should already have certain things that you've had in play. And once you get into office, that should just be your panel to do it on a bigger level. And that's what I used. Okay. I stayed in the community. I was always with the community. I never turned my back on the community. But I made sure that everything that I said, I didn't promise anybody anything. What I told them was, go on my track record. See how I advocate throughout the community, whether it was for the children, for the seniors, for housing. Go back on that track record and see how I spoke in volumes when I started tenants associations throughout the community and I started educating them on what their rights was, whether they were in HUD housing or Section 8 housing, because people would tend to be talked down in a certain manner because they were on Section 8. And I told them, doesn't matter if you're on Section 8. You should demand that respect regardless.
Yeah.
There was people scared that they were going to lose their Section 8 if they actually said something back. And we do have management companies that will use that against them. And there was one building in my district in particular that once I got elected, because I fought back and forth with them when I wasn't even elected, when I was just the president of my tenants association, I helped that building form theirs. And I told them, once I get elected, I'll be back here to deal with you guys. And they thought that I was playing. They thought, okay, she's going to get elected. She's just talking. Once she wins, she'll be on our team. She'll be on our side. And they seen that I wasn't. So now, FYI, that building is under a whole new construction. The management company the people that they had in the management company have up and left. They are gone.
Jeez.
So now they're looking for a new, they're looking for a new management company, because I told the 3 females that were there, I said, there's no way that I'm going to let them be disrespected on my watch. It's disgusting the way you talk to me as an elected official. And there's no way that they're not telling the truth when they call my office and tell me, have you spoken to them? And I didn't talk to her over the phone. I went over and I had a face-to-face with her, because I had to let her know, you're not going to disrespect me and you're not going to talk to me in that manner. And that building to this day respects me. I got a call today saying, we got a new management company. And when they heard that you were on board, the new woman has now quit as well.
That's right. That's right.
So, yes. Yes.
No nonsense.
So Mayor, same question. What's your recommendation for vetting and supporting candidates?
I mean,
various levels of government.
Yeah, well, particularly on the local level, as well as, let's start at the top. People should, it's particularly in the Democratic primary, they say it's okay for Democrats to fight in the primary. You have to look at that person's long career, because more likely than not, a candidate was a part of some local grassroots movement. The candidates were a part of the Senate, Congress, or were connected to, the Senate, Congress, and vetting on that level is on a whole nother level. But I want to talk about local, because as we stated, all politics are local. You have to know a person's history. Yes, anybody can get on a ballot. You get the requisite amount of signatures. Anybody can say, I want to run for mayor. I want to do this. Anybody can use the buzzword that Obama made famous in politics, change. But when you look deeply into the history, what has that person done? So let me just give you my story. before I ever asked anyone for the vote in the community, I was known in the community. I came out of college. I ran the Midnight Basketball League. I was a caseworker in social welfare. Then I moved on to work with the youth. I ran the state youth program, came back and I ran the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City for 4 years. And at the same time, I started getting active. I was appointed to the Atlantic City Free Public Library Board of Trustees to get that experience as well. And then I was elected to the Atlantic City Board of Education. And from the Atlantic City Board of Education, being ambitious, I took the next step to City Council. And I started, building a base. And people had pegged me for being the future mayor of Atlantic City. But you need to know someone. Anybody can govern and be good when there's no controversy. The quote that I like to live by is by the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King. And it says, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands at moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And when we were talking about vote by mail and the president is talking about voter fraud, I had personal experience in that. The state of New Jersey came at me twice. I was twice indicted of voter fraud, trying to get the vote out for the Black community. And, they wanted to have me do plea deals where they said, okay, well, you can keep your job in the school system, but we want you out of office, etc. When I'm the type of person, yes, it's going to cost me money and it's going to, hurt my finances. For 2 trials, I had to spend over $250,000, and I stared down 2 juries twice, and I won. And that's why I'm still standing here. Then went to sue to get my money back plus more. But a guy named Chris Christie was running for president of the United States, and the state of New Jersey didn't want that information out there. So we won the appeals every step of the way. Then it got to the Supreme Court. They threw it back to the appellate, and they overturned the decision. So I know how it feels to be a target, to be maliciously prosecuted, and deal with that, and still have to hold your head up high. And it goes to show that not only did I believe in myself, but the community kept believing in me, because obviously I've been elected, my whole time. And I know I could definitely speak to the controversies of vote by mail, because when I ran for mayor 3 years ago, I won at the polls off the line against the party establishment. And then later that night, 694 absentee ballots came in and I lost.
Wow.
But I was still the city council president, so I didn't go anywhere. So I know the journey, I know the struggle, I knows what it feels like. And I'm just happy that the good people of Atlantic City see that I've always been for the community, because you can't go through what I went through. The saying, I don't look like nothing that I've been through. But that's a story, that's an inspiration to show that you stand up for your community, you stand up for your rights, and believe in yourself, good things will happen.
Amen.
And this is a perfect example going around the room that, 10 toes down, once you're, again, on the front lines and going through this, the strife and struggle to get to where you are, that people, they're always going to be these infractions or like these roadblocks, right? So briefly, I just want to, because I want to go back to the Kamala Harris in a second. But briefly, in a few words, do you stand for mail-in or in-person voting? And we'll start with the mayor first. So which one and why? Quickly, and we'll just go around.
Well, obviously, what I've been through, I prefer, going to the poll the traditional way, but the numbers don't lie. More people voted in the last mail-in election than vote, at the polls. Now, you got to take the presidential election out of it, because everybody's going to turn out. And like I told you, the other incentive for New Jersey is the people that are pro marijuana. They're going to come out and vote because that question is on the ballot. But I prefer in-person voting, and I'm an advocate for that. Okay. But at the end of the day, you are dealt with the cards, that you're dealt with, and you got to play them right.
Yeah.
Okay. Tasha?
I also go for in-person voting, only because, once you cast your vote, it's in the machine, it's in there, there's no turning back.
Right.
As far as with the absentee ballots, we've been pushing that now during, due to COVID. But if someone can get out, we always urge them to go to the polls and vote. I've also provided rides as well to make sure, and not only to seniors, to anyone, to make
Excellent.
sure that they
Yeah.
get out to vote. But if they can get out in person, is a beautiful thing, because you feel a little bit more secure to know that once you filled in your bubble and your ballot goes inside the machine,
Right.
there's
Right.
no turning back. As
Mhm.
opposed to if you do it via affidavit or absentee, you don't know
Right.
if
You're left crossing your fingers.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly, because sometimes you could win the election with a certain amount of votes, and there's still absentees on the side, and they say, "Oh, well, that person won already, so we're not going to open up these votes." But it's not fair,
Right.
because I want to know what I got in total.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Damon?
Oh, in person. You know, in person. I gotta go and slide my vote into that machine, and they tell me that it's registered. You know, I don't. There's some people in charge of the Board of Elections I just don't trust. You know, and so I just can't see. I can't see it going well. You know,
Right.
I think it's gonna, and I'm not discouraging nobody.
Mhm.
You know, and I think if you're gonna do an absentee ballot, drop it off at your local Board of Elections, right? Don't, because Trump is playing a lot of games with this mail stuff. You know, I think the preachers need to come together and go out to the senior buildings and go get all them absentee ballots and drop them off. We have to. The Black community needs to have a system for this to make sure that our people that's going to vote is going to drop it off. Just drop it off. But listen. I'm putting on a whole suit, mask. I'm going. Oxygen. I'm
You
going.
got your hazmat suit ready?
And I'm putting my vote in.
I'm gonna tell you something. So this past election, what was it, a month and a half ago or so? We, COVID, we didn't know where we were supposed to vote. My polling location was closed. I actually had given up. I in my mind, I said, you know what? I'm not going to drive around like looking for the polling location. I have no idea where to go. I was on my way home. Somebody called my phone and said, "Hi, this is such and such from the local district, blah, 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 blah. Did you vote today?" I said, I wanted to, but I can't find my polling location. And I'll never forget, my girl Mia was sitting next to me in the car, because, we were both trying to, she lives around the corner from me, but we vote in different places. Mm-hmm. So she said, well, so you don't know where your location is? And I said, no. I said, the location that I'm supposed to go is closed. She said, well, give me your name, give me your, your address, blah, blah, blah. Right. I gave it to her, and she said, okay, well, you have to go to the Civic Center, Hackensack. I didn't even know there was a Civic Center in Hackensack. I was like, okay. But this, long story short, my girl Mia was voting in her location was open. So she went in, and they said, oh, tell her that she can come in and write in her vote. That was the sketchiest thing I've ever done in my life. I don't think that my vote went anywhere. And I'm going to be honest with you. I just felt like I was
didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right. I didn't feel right doing it. I wanted to do something else, but I said, in the middle of it all, I said, you know what, I'm going to pray on this vote, and we're going to pray that it gets to where it needs to go. And God help us all. God bless me and everybody in this. But I get it. Like, in person is great, and it's effective mostly. But we just have to make sure that people know where to go. We have to make sure that there's a contingency if something like COVID happens again, and the location is closed. Like, where can they go? How do they get the most up-to-date information? How do they trust the sources where they're getting this information from? Right. So all of those things kind of, ladder up into this whole confusion.
Well, I got the police department called on me at a polling site because I was advocating for a senior to be able to vote. She didn't know that I was a councilwoman, and I never opened my mouth and said who I was, but she actually called the police on me because there was two issues. One issue was they were not letting a senior vote. And I don't understand how she lived across the street from the polling site that was open, but they were trying to send her across town. to another polling site. And then there was another issue where people were not getting that second ballots. And how we found that out is we overheard someone say, the person I came to vote for is not even on the ballot. So myself and the other representative said, well, who are you looking for? And when they said the person's name, it was Jamal Bowman is who they were looking for. And we advocated to say, well, where's the second sheet? We got put out of the polling site and the police department called on us.
Well, you know what that was about, right?
Yes. So when the police department came, they laughed like, what did she do?
Right. Yeah. There's no crime committed here. See, like this is why we are having this discussion, because our people have to be aware of these roadblocks that are being placed in front of us and in front of our elderly and even in front of, our younger generation, because, their awareness or knowledge or lack thereof of like how to vote or where to go, or as Aria said, where can we source this information from? So as far as the information, I know you can go to change.org to see if you're registered, and if not, you can register. Are there any other sources that you can use
to register to vote?
The local superintendent of elections office, board of elections, or what have you.
Exactly.
And what we found out in the New Jersey, in the primary election, that they only mail ballots to registered Democratic voters. You had to change the unaffiliated to Democrats for them to get a ballot, or they had to vote provisional. And then a lot of people got it mixed up and confused, because a lot of people were registered to the Socialist Party, because you have these organizations coming in and out of town and telling people to sign up to register to vote, and they pick the party for them. So it's all about voter education and getting things right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? Something I just remember, my brother voted last week before last in Florida. God help him. When he came from the polls, he sent myself, my mom, and my sister a text that said he had never seen anything like this. All Republicans on the ballot, no Democrats whatsoever. So how did that happen? How did we get there? How does that happen?
Nobody ran. I mean, nobody.
Wait, is that possible? Like, but if no one ran, okay.
If the Democrats doesn't pick a candidate, if they sometimes they might feel it's not even worth the run, or it's a sweetheart deal. You don't run this person against that person, and we don't run. I mean, these things happen. Sometimes there is a thin wall between Democrat and Republican. Let's not get it twisted.
Or what could have happened is, did they register your brother as a Republican and he only got a Republican ballot?
Right.
That too.
He's new. He was a new resident of Florida. He just moved from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I don't know which one was worse.
They might have registered him as a Republican.
Wow.
Right. And we also got a lot of young people register as independents because they just have disdain for the two major parties. But unless you're in a state that have open primaries, meaning it doesn't matter what party that you're in, you could vote for the people on the ballots. Like New York is not an open primary state. So if you're an independent, or if you're in a minor party, you can't vote Democrat or Republican.
Right.
You can't vote for those. So, I think that might be a problem going down the line. I mean, it was a big problem for Bernie Sanders in New York when he primaried Hillary Clinton, because of the fact that his support base was the independent voter, the non-affiliated party voter, but he was running on a Democratic primary. They couldn't vote. So I think, another education is, if you're not affiliated with the Democratic Party, you need to change your registration before election time. So you're able to vote. So you're able to vote, especially in primaries. But the general election, I think you could just vote anyway.
Yes, in a primary, you have to vote your party that you are in. So if you are a Republican, you have to get a Republican ballot, and vice versa. Right. The only way you can vote, bipartisan is in the general election.
Right.
And independents, well, at least in New Jersey, you have to go in and they'll ask you how do you want to vote, Democrat or Republican? And
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, not here.
Yeah, New York, man.
No. It's either Republican or Democrat.
I hope everyone at home is taking notes. I hope everyone's taking notes. You
And
see
we
how
will broadcast.
how in New York, New Jersey, and different states, there are so many different rules and bylaws that apply. So you have to educate yourself. And I want to end off with this question right here for everyone on the panel, and we'll go around really quickly and basically finish full circle. What do you want the Black community to take out of this conversation that we've had this evening?
I mean, I want the community to be educated. I want the community to know that voting is important. The census is extremely important. And there's a lot of apathy with that, similar to voting. Why am I filling out the census? What is it going to do for me? They don't understand the impact of redistricting, losing seat, funding opportunities, grant opportunities. If your population is, larger, excuse me, I think Atlantic City, we're around 40% right now. And thank God, the census was extended, and pretty soon we have to, pick that up. But we're up from 33% the last time. So people just got to be educated and understand that the littlest thing that they think won't affect them will, and such as voting in the census, because that determines the amount of representatives you have, the amount of funding coming your way, and who represents you on a local level, which is extremely important.
Okay.
Great. Yes.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Yes, I think it's like he touched bases on. I've also been out making sure that people knew about the census. Believe it or not, a lot of the people in the Black community, some of them didn't even hear about the census. They didn't know what the importance of the census was. I just actually had a census celebration in Lincoln Park yesterday. Myself, the mayor, and the city council president, along with our county legislator. Every food distribution that I do, I've had the census there as well. So you're here. There's no reason why you can't fill out the census. They're here.
There's
And once
no
I
way
let
that
them
everyone
know,
can be accounted for.
Exactly.
yes. And once I let them know, you see these services that I'm bringing in, because I bring in about myself and Feeding Westchester, we bring in about 20,000 pounds of fresh produce every week.
Wow.
And we've been doing this for the entire summer. And I let them know this is how we get these kind of things funded. Because they're like, wow, we never had a food distribution, fresh fruits and vegetables. In our community, we have to tend to go for the stuff that's a little bit cheaper. So we kind of, skip over that. So letting them know, if you fill out the census, the activities that you want back for your children, you can get those back. These kind of things that I'm bringing in, food and things like that, we can get these things out to the community if you come out and answer your census, and if you fill out your census. And a lot of people were scared that they were going to get arrested.
Yep.
A lot of the people didn't know that you could be undocumented. My mother-in-law, she's Ecuadorian. I filled out her census for her. She never knew what the importance of a census was.
Right. So
And then I tell people, if you have people coming, even stopping by your home, and you're feeding them on a regular, and they're staying with you a couple of nights, they may not actually live in your house, but count that person, because that person has nowhere to live or go. So you count that person, so that person is accounted for. And if me explaining these things, a lot of people are saying, well, you know what? Now we know the importance of the census. We want these services.
Right.
So the community has been good with that.
Right. So that's another takeaway for the community, that the census is important and you can be counted. Don't be fearful of actually doing it. And Damon, last word on what the Black community can take away from this conversation.
We have to be active in the political process. We have to be willing to support elected officials that work for us, and be willing to have the hard questions for those who don't. We have to have some type of agenda. We need an agenda. What's the purpose of a vote if we don't have our agenda listed out? Every other ethnic community has an agenda listed out. We vote for you, you're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, right? And usually it get done for the other communities. So we need to have that, and I think you know, we're at a crossroads. We're going to make history. You know, it's going to be beautiful Black history, January 1st, but January 2nd, we got to ask the hard questions. What y'all going to do now? What is the what is the
Right.
Black community going to get? Not what everybody's going to get. Not I'm the president for everybody. Not I'm the Black vice president for everybody. Right. Right. What are we going to get? What legislation and laws is going to come to the Black community and benefit the Black community? And how are we going to change these racist cultural systems that have been created by America? And how are we going to change that to affect us? So we got to ask those questions. You know, I mean, we can't get it passed, right? We can't get it passed, and we can't attack people that ask those hard questions,
Right.
right?
So
We ain't hating because we just asking, you know.
Right. Those questions are a sign of love, and this is what Black people do.
Exactly, it's hard love. It's hard love, but we got to do it. I mean,
Right.
we at the crossroads, and
So
it'll be a lot of work.
So, in one word, so going back to Kamala Harris, and we're definitely going to end with this.
Will not let that go.
I can't let it go. I'm not going to let it go.
Word,
So,
man. And I
so
just-
listen, we all know that we got to get, you know, the orange clown out.
Yes.
So, we know who we have to vote for. Now, Kamala Harris is watching. I know she's watching. If we could go around the room, just one thing you want her to put into effect, try to implement going forward for the Black community, what would that be? We could just go around.
Criminal justice reform.
It's a good one.
Councilwoman?
Some encouragement. I want her to bring some encouragement to let them know, look where I am. I made it here. You can make it here too. Some encouragement.
I love it.
Okay. Damon?
Since the mayor took criminal justice reform, I want to say generational wealth.
Yes. That's our next topic, actually.
Definitely says that. Aria?
I mean, I feel like she can really just restore hope in the fact that this system is fixable. I mean, it is broken, it's fixable, you know, and get people out to vote and make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing in their community, because they are being held accountable and they are on the watch.
Okay. Mine would be education. And I say education because within our community, and this year being an eye-opener for the world, is that even our own history has been neglected for hundreds of years. And I think that the school systems definitely need to change and updated, speaking on the African culture itself, also building wealth, which we're definitely going to talk about on the next podcast, and you know, grooming our youth to be stronger from an economical and structural standpoint as they mature into adulthood.
Yes.
So this was a great conversation. I definitely want to thank Councilwoman TASHA DIAZ for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Also, Damon K. Jones for coming on tonight as well. Thank you, brother.
Samuel Jackson. Sam
Jackson. and he didn't curse. He didn't curse this whole time.
No, I know. I was waiting for it.
Because I'm on video. Publicly, yeah, I let the MFs out. Yeah.
But Mayor Smalls, you remind me of Styles P.
No, you know what? That's
I'm Styles P.
I'm like,
Yeah, all he
vibe.
needed is a snapback, right? All he needed is a
I
snapback.
grew up with Styles P. Like he lived 2 blocks over from me.
Yeah.
So your whole voice, your whole demeanor, like
I was sitting here, I was like,
yes, it's Styles P.
from somewhere.
Yes. But that's a good thing. Everybody loves the
That's a
locks.
compliment. Yeah,
Yes, it
everyone
is.
loves the lock.
Yes, it's a compliment.
Yep. Couldn't work the locks. Come on, let's go.
Yes.
And Atlantic City Mayor Marty Small, thank you again for being on this evening.
It's a great day in the city of Atlantic City. Great.
Yes, it is.
I'm in your city this weekend.
We gonna
Yeah.
come get my wife.
Good job.
Oh man, we coming down.
Yeah. We're not forgetting about that. You've been held to that. This is on video. It ain't going nowhere.
Aria got my math, so
I got you. Yes.
Oh, I got your man too, bro.
Let's go. Marty used to do the Marty Small Ball. What's up with that? Let's get that back in 2021, right?
how about the mayor's ball?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Speak it into fruition.
It's lit.
Speak it into fruition.
I love it. I love it. Thank you all so much. You are so amazing. The
Thank
comments are going crazy. I'm so excited to look at all of them. And we can't thank you enough for bringing your brilliance to this platform. And we hope you come back to see us again.
Of
All right,
course.
we'll do.
Let
Yes,
me know.
definitely.
Let me know. Y'all take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. All right.
Yo.
This was a deep one.
Yo.
Deep
Okay.
one.
So I just want to point out a couple of things. So my brother, and I didn't know he was watching. He said he was not asked at the polls his party or affiliation or listed as an independent, but he looked into it and no Democrat ran into the local election. So to Marty's point, yes, that's exactly what happened. Let's look at some of these other folks who are here because there was a lot of action going on.
Yeah, it was definitely coming through.
I love it, love it, love it. So Brian Diaz Vega had a lot to say, and he was saying that there was a great restaurant in Atlantic City that has great pizza. I need to know what that restaurant is, sir. Can you please let us know? Let the people know, asking for some friends and myself.
Pizza?
Yes, I love pizza. And what else happened here today? The black votes that aren't sheep will vote Trump 2020. Well, we know.
Yeah.
And then
hopefully we're making changes. Maybe that count will go down. Hopefully.
Yeah. I threw it out there on Facebook to see if anybody wanted to go around and pick up some absentee ballots. And one person who couldn't say no to me actually said he would, but Pat Alphonse, he was going to say yes anyway.
What's up, Pat? Pat put that work in.
Yeah. And then, but I mean, definitely, I'm serious. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part too, and I'm able-bodied and I can get around. So I want to help out people in the community who can't. So I just need to know how to get that started. And I probably can work with some organizations locally, like the Bergen County, Blacks in Bergen County. I think that's the name of them. But my girl Amber, who's actually also watching, is affiliated with them. So Amber, if you're still watching, let's try to pull that together, please. And I want to be a part of that. Brandy Campbell, this is great. Thank you. Keep the questions coming, as my host says. And Sincere Thompson, thank you for joining. Great conversation. In-person voting is number one. Yes, we all believe that. Board of Elections is a great place to get your source of information. So they asked how we felt about the electoral vote. That's one question. I posted that earlier today. I don't know if you saw my post at like 4:00 this morning when I woke up. I saw a video and I posted, about the Electoral College, and it's a very confusing, concept. And I think that we all need
I'll definitely repost that so everyone can see it.
Yeah. And then YO Stand Up. Yes, we had Yonkers in the building, and history will be made. Amen. Yes, I love it. Everybody thought it was a great show. I'm in agreement. And I thank my wonderful host for leading the charge. Amazing. And thank all of our guests.
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Diaz, Damon K. Jones, amazing.
Yep.
And the Samuel Jackson.
And Styles P, aka Atlantic City Mayor
of the city of Atlantic City. It's a great day to be in the city of Atlantic City. So
we'll be out there.
Yeah. We're gonna do our next show from there.
So I just want to say as well, thank you to our guests, and I just want to leave everyone with this: is that if you don't like them, if you do like them, this year is very important to go out and vote. We see what the world is in right now, the trials and tribulations that we've all gone through and are still going through, from losing your jobs, healthcare, COVID, essential workers, people risking their lives to help others, and just within our community as well, food deserts, redlining still exists. Don't believe the hype.
Yep.
Please go out and vote. Again, go on vote.com, if I'm not mistaken.
Vote.org.
Vote.org and change.org as well. And make sure that you're registered to vote. You can always double check. You should double check, actually. Go online and check. Ask questions. You can definitely email us if you have any questions. We'll definitely help you along with that. And this was a dynamite episode.
Black Power.
Wakanda.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I like the movie.
Of
It's
course.
inspiration. I'm just saying.
Yes. Yep. Waka
Just
Flocka.
keeping it 100. All right. So, as we end, all we got is us. I'm signing out. I'm your host, Sunkissed. My co-host, Aria Wright. Everyone have a good night. We'll see you next episode.
Good night. Next Sunday,
Next Sunday is on.
7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.